Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Water Cooler Chat, where we talk about all things Livepeer, whether it's orchestrating, delegating, broadcasting, developing, or transcoding. I don't know if I said that already. Yeah, anything about Livepeer, we talk about that here. And let's go ahead and get started with some introductions, and we'll get into it. So I will start with myself. I'm Titan, been running the Titan Node Orchestrator since April 2021. And today my topic is around performance, as always. Just been working a lot on that a little bit. I also wanted to talk about, what was it? Oh, it's slipping my mind. It was basically just like Livepeer Studio and how we can promote that. And the hackathon, the ENCODE hackathon that's going on. So looking for some team members for the ENCODE hackathon as well. If anyone wants to come throw together a project where we could maybe win some prizes. Those are my topics. We'll move on to Pawn. Pawn, would you like to introduce yourself on a topic?
Evening, everyone. I'm Pawn. I've been running my own orchestrator since April 2022. I don't really have a topic today, so there is no things to moan about this week.
That's actually a good thing. Sometimes I always wonder, like, lots of topics means there's lots of stuff going on, but if there's little topics, that means things could be running smoothly, which might be a positive. So I like it. Thank you for joining us, Pawn. Flo, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Yeah, I'm Flo from Moss Computing. Starting since September on the Livepeer. I don't have any topic, me too, for today.
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us. Frank, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Frank. I'm running with my wife, Sienna, Ultima Ratio Node since May 21. And I have no special topic, just curious about if you have an idea about the peak of traffic we had during 2 period of 6 or 7 days recently, something like multiplier by 3. Not really the traffic and stream, but the winning ticket, the tickets and winning ticket. I don't know. It's come from a test about VOD or something else. I don't know.
That's a good topic. The video on demand spike. So like last week we had like crazy tickets coming out and like streams were choppy. Like there'd be 10 streams, 20 streams, and then down to 2 streams and then up to 20 streams. Like I think they would attributed all of that to the video on demand testing. But yeah, if anyone's kind of sorted all that out, figured out what the heck happened that week and whether it's going to be something they're going to do again, that's definitely something I'm interested in as well.
Yeah, that's it. And Frank, from what I heard, you said that we also had peak traffic. Is that in regards to like tickets being handed out?
Yeah, in fact, we during this 2 period of 6 or 7 days, most of us received 3x more tickets. Okay, for example, we received before that 20,000 tickets by days, and during this period that was almost 60,000 tickets by day. So a winning ticket was also the same thing. And if you check also the public Grafana, you can see all the orc have a peak of traffic, except the big one like Vires. So they just have 3 or 4 more traffic than other orc, but not 10 or 20 time more traffic than other day. If you check his public Grafana, you will see 3 or 2 hours ago the thing stopped, and you will see his traffic jump at this point. And for all other orc, the traffic done not really the traffic because we have almost a same number of stream, but the number of tickets we receive, in fact.
Yeah, that's crazy that you've been able to track it to Vires stream counts. Like I think Papa Bear had mentioned this morning in some of the discords that he noticed that, like you said, 3 hours ago, Vires streams restored back to the original. That's a really astute observation.
I have maybe it's possible during some kind of test Livepeer did. Maybe they change the percent of streams they send randomly. I think maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe they go from 30% of random stream to 60% for test purpose. I don't know. And when they stop the test, that go back to all things. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Original scenario. Yeah, no, I think those are all good observations, and I think there may be some proof to some of those. I haven't yet to come to those conclusions, but I definitely am tracking it. Titan, you following all this?
Am I following?
Anyways, that was a great period for all org except 3 or 2 org, but for
That's right.
all the other ones, that was nice because the traffic was well split between all the org and not only on 3 or 4 org. So that was really nice. Anyway,
I have a theory
It
on
looked
what I
real
think happened
nice
there.
when Ultima Ratio was what, number 3 on the ticket payout.
yeah, sure.
What were you gonna say, Papa?
Oh, I have a
Sorry.
theory on to what I think is what caused the distribution to trickle down, but I don't know if we want to get into that now or wait until we do finish introductions. So
Sure, we'll finish
I'll let
introductions.
Titan make the call.
Yeah, we'll finish
Okay.
introductions and then we'll
Sorry.
come through.
And
'cause-
again, it's just a theory. Okay, well, I guess I'm next. So
Yeah, go ahead,
Papa. I am Papa Bear. I run the Solar Farm Orchestrator since July of last year. And I don't have a specific topic. I'm kind of just listening in, and we'll chime in where I can.
Well, bring up your topic about the trickle down thing.
Well, I figure that ties into what we'll be talking about. But okay, I have a theory. I have a topic about a theory on why I think the streams get distributed more evenly during the VOD tests.
Very good.
That's my topic.
I like it. Thank you for joining us, Papa Bear. Mike, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Hey guys, Mike Zuper, running the Zodap Orchestrator since February of 2022 this year. So looks like I'll be coming up on 1 year in a couple months here. Looking forward to it. As far as topics, nothing really. Just curious as to what folks are seeing. Like we're talking about this video on demand, the streaming. Just didn't know how folks were doing with their Arbitrum RPCs, if things are still pretty stable. I had an outage recently, so just curious if folks are operationally looking pretty smooth.
Very cool. I like it. I like it a lot. Thank you very much for joining us. In the audience, I see we have Tech, Ben, and SpeedyBird has just joined us, and Zorro. Please come up to stage where you can introduce yourself and a topic. And as always, thank you for coming, Mike. SpeedyBird, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is my third or fourth water cooler. I don't have a topic. I've been kind of pretty deep in setting up some automated alerts on my systems, and looking to once I get it into a nice state, probably walking through and sharing that with folks in some detail in the future. But no topics for me at the moment.
Very cool. Oh, and congratulations on submitting your grant for the startup grant. That funding will come through very soon. So very cool.
Thanks, Titan.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go back into this topic that we want to jump into, because I wrote down, I think, 7 topics that I want to get through as we were talking. So, but obviously most of them are basically what we're talking about already. So let's go into it. VOD spikes. Let's Papaver, tell us about your theory on this VOD thing.
Again, just a theory, but since during the times, during these blocks of the VOD stuff, the streams do tend to get choppy, even though our payouts go up, and so my theory is that a lot of these streams are getting sent to Vires first, and then because they're so choppy and for whatever reason that they're not able maybe to be transcoded, they're moving down through the orchestrator list more than they would with the standard streaming stuff where Vires is able to keep the streams. So that's kind of my theory on why the stream distribution has been pushed down from up from the top down to to a more even distribution, because it's just a matter of being able to hold on to them. So not a very complicated theory, but it's just where what I've kind of that's just what I've come to.
Yeah, but it's funny that you mentioned the correlation to Vires streams restoring to the original like normal statuses. Like I think Frank mentioned like 3 hours ago, he saw Vires streams resume to like its normal peaks that he was used to seeing. So like, and I think you mentioned in one of the Discord chats something similar earlier this morning. So are they related? Do you think the testing is over?
That would be my
Yeah,
guess, is that
yes.
they've now switched it back to to however they were doing it before. I don't know exactly what tests they were running, other than that it was some sort of VOD testing. But that would be my guess. I mean, my stream count has gone down quite a bit, and my projected earnings have dropped to like a third of where they were over the last week. So and it did exactly correlate to the drop off for me. Was almost exactly when Vires' stream count went up. And here's Vires. Hi, Vires.
Is the VOD responsible for the choppiness? Do we know that for sure?
We do
We are
not know
not
that
sure,
for
in
sure.
fact. We are not sure. Maybe also I see on the Discord this morning someone said for the VOD stream, they are also in original quality source. So maybe that could explain why the VOD stream pay more. And also, I'm not sure, but I suppose when you send a stream for being transcoding for VOD, you don't need to wait for 2 seconds. You are not in real time, so maybe the stream is very quickly transcoded. That could explain also why you can't keep a lot of stream, because maybe just 1 or 2 stream can use your GPU if they are transcoded very quickly, because it's not real time. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I think that's also a good assumption or guess, that because it's VOD and we're not waiting for the next segment to come in, it should all just be coming in as fast as possible. So I think that there's something with that as well.
Yeah, that's
that
right.
could
You could
explain
send in 1,000 streams and it goes all to different orchestrators out of order, and it won't matter because they'll just reassemble it back together on the other side and put it together. So I think I like that theory. I think that makes a lot of sense.
I have a burning question about that. Okay, would that cause the quality of the video to be jumpy? Like, wouldn't we want a video to be transcoded by one GPU to maintain like quality in case like different GPUs are produce different quality, or is that not how it works?
I don't know how the VOD stuff works. I don't know if a stream goes
Video.
from machine to machine, how that works. I just assume that they can be done faster. If it
Yeah, I think it's a rendition is based on the speed to complete, not necessarily the quality. The same rendition on different GPUs should yield the same output. It may
no, they
take
actually
longer, right?
they won't. If different generations with the same settings will produce, I mean, it's not a huge quality difference, but the newer GPUs should be able to put out better quality at the same settings, with the same settings.
And quality, you're talking about the bit rate you see is going to be better, even if you didn't ask for a better bit rate?
The image quality would be better, even if it was the same bit rate, but bit rate could change as well.
Interesting.
You know, as you know, it's just a generational thing. You know, the encoders get better with over time. So the 20s and the 30s have this.
So the
same
sharpness
generation.
of the quality, the sharpness and the actual pixelation, you're saying
Yeah,
in the newer
you can
cars
get
will still be a finer quality, better color,
better,
etc.
better quality per bit. If you, I mean, it's a good way to look at
Okay,
it.
interesting.
I mean, it's not a huge difference, but there is a difference, and it's also going to depend on what the source is too.
There you go. Yeah, while we were talking about this, I quickly went over to Livepeer Studio and I tried the VOD upload thing for the first time, and just quickly uploaded a 2-minute video, and it was done really quickly. So
I uploaded a 4 gig file in last week, and I was on the support on Discord, like, yo, why is this not working, man? Every time it blows up. And they were like, do you really need a 4 gig file? Like, why are you uploading a 4 gig file? I think they capped it out at 1 gig. So just be curious as to when you're uploading it.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, this is fascinating. Vires, I see you've joined us. Vires, would you like to introduce yourself on a topic?
Hey all, Vires in Numeris. I'm running the Syrinx 525 Orchestrator. Yeah, I guess not really specific topic, but it's still about, I think I heard SpeedyBird talking about the issue, or like non-issue, I guess, for smaller streamers, about this sudden spikes in traffic. And for me, it's more like the disappearance of traffic. And I'm just like, I'm still reporting to the internal engineering team about that, and I think Yonden is investigating now. The team was busy last week with the VOD stuff, but apparently they made good progress. But so far, like, there's nothing specific on this, like what's the cause or what's happening, or what's up.
So do you think it's a software defect or a setting, a configuration issue, or is this purposeful to be done this way?
I think there is some sort of issue due to the VOD, probably, because, I mean, even if you look at the payment error rate, it's like 5 to 7x the normal rate. And also, like, to me, it looks like my orchestrator is somehow like capped at around 40 total sessions. I don't know why. Maybe because the VOD stuff is like too choppy, and I don't get any more streams if that is happening. And every time like they do some internal changes, you can see it on my public dashboard. Like, my traffic goes up and down by like 2x.
All right, just quick question. Are you still running 0.34, 0.35?
I'm still running the 0.34.
All right, just because I downgraded recently from 0.35 to 0.34, and I noticed that streams are a bit more sticky.
Is that right?
Yeah, I forgot. That was one of my topics about downgrading. I was actually considering downgrading today, and I just wasn't sure. But so Pon's one vote towards downgrading.
Yeah. I looked at it. I upgraded all my nodes to 0.35, and stream's been very choppy. So I downgraded to 0.34, and the traffic seems to be a bit more smooth.
When did you do that?
About a week ago.
Oh, okay. Not just okay. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't today where there was an an internal change as well. So okay, then that's a good amount of time.
No. It was about a week ago.
It's funny. I upgraded about a week ago, and I'm looking to downgrade. So. I have some remote T's, O's, and stuff like that, and I just see some really weird errors in the logs every once in a while. And I saw folks in the Discord posting really weird errors. So I feel like 35 came out a little prematurely.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I do have something else to add to what I did. I was monitoring the encode and decode on one of my servers and noticed that the decode was getting really high, even with a low number of streams. So I don't know if the VOD stuff, if maybe there's some higher resolution stuff coming in, because even with like 5 streams, I was hitting like 90% on my decoders, which is, you know, which wouldn't get me anywhere near like the 20-ish kind of, you know, number that I usually can get out of a GPU on, you know, just with an average load. So there may be something to VOD if it's coming in at like 4K and a lot of 1080p stuff coming in. That could also be a reason that harder to hold a higher number of streams. Just a thought there.
Very cool. I'll quickly just thank you for joining us, Vires, because we were just doing introductions there.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all good. Like, obviously, it's all good. But I'll keep going through introductions as we go through this. So thank you for joining us, Vires. Chase Media, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Hi everyone, it's Rebecca here with Chase Media. Been running the node since about, I think, February of this year. And I'm just chiming in to say hello, and I don't have any topics this week. Seems a lot of activity, so I'm listening to what everyone's talking about. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Alex, would you like to introduce yourself and a topic?
Sure. Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a TPM at Livepeer, and I'm an orchestrator, and I think I'll be coming up in just about a year in March, so that'll be cool. And yeah, I'm just listening in today. I'm curious to hear about, or go into more detail about the 035 release and why that's causing issues, because I've heard some things like this as well. And then if you're noticing things today, there was a new VOD feature released, so that could be the source of some of that. But yeah, otherwise just listening today.
Thank you so much for joining us. Quick topic for profiles. I'm assuming other people have seen this. The amount of profile renditions and the different I guess, yeah, profiles. Or do I say profiles without saying profiles? That are coming in on that we're transcoding. Some have been, they're called source. Some are like 4K to actually in the water cooler side chat. I posted a screenshot of just my New York node and about a quarter of the different type of renditions we're getting. So everything from like 544p, 534p, and like 1350p, 2000p, right? Like, so all these like,
so many.
Yeah, and this is only like a quarter of the list. So I'm just curious, is this likely? Oh, and then also, they're not just like 4 segment renditions or 3 segment, like we're up to like 5 and 6 segment renditions. So I'm just kind of curious, like, can we confirm that this is VOD that's causing these profiles are?
If it's happening today, that's likely the source. Yeah, and then also I can't go too far into it, but we've been messing with sort of some ideas of changing how we segment streams. So there's a chance that could have been tested as well. But anything happening today, there was a big VOD feature release.
I think what Titan's talking about though was from just this isn't today though, right? This is like over time.
Yeah, this is over time, like
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like,
Yeah, in
I
that
mean,
case,
it
Like
makes-
this is like over the
probably
last
pretty-
like whatever Prometheus holds this data for, like for 7 days, 14 days, or whatever.
Cool. Yeah, that should be in most cases organic because I obviously can't say when we're doing testing, but we didn't do a ton of testing last week, so I don't think. Yeah, so hopefully someone is actually producing those streams.
Yeah, because it was very interesting because like it totally screwed up my pool, and I was like, oh man. I like added this new strike system where like if you don't transcode in real time for like 5 consecutive hours or something, like it'll kick you from the pool automatically, right? And I was like, okay, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be a great upgrade. And then like all these VOD like profiles came in where like nobody could transcode anything real time, and then everyone got kicked from my pool, including myself. And I was like, oh no. And I was like in Mexico, and I was like, this is not good. So I like did a deep dive into like what are these, and like yeah, no GPUs could transcode these in real time at all. They were just so heavy, and they were coming in so fast, like back to like on top of each other. So I was like, okay, how is this so? Anyway, I fixed it. I basically said the strike system should ignore all these profiles. But then I was like, oh, this is clearly something new going on. So this is the VOD, I'm assuming.
I'm assuming so too, and I'm just pulled up mine and I see, yeah, just like you posted, just all kinds of like, I mean, lots of different 1080p ones. I'm seeing 4Ks, close to 4K, maybe 2K stuff. A lot of new profiles are in there, and like you said, multi renditions on each one. So again, another reason that I think that what we've used as our our benchmark, to determine our max sessions is not going to match up to these types of heavy sessions. So I think we can expect to when this kind of stuff is going on to get lower, to be able to handle fewer streams. There'll be more value. They'll have higher value because they're you get paid a lot more for these big streams. But yeah, I would not expect to get the same number of max streams that you've been used to if this is the kind of stuff we'll be seeing.
It's interesting because, yeah, we set our streams to how much we could get as they come in 2-second increments. Or do we? Wait.
And well, we do that, but it's also based on the I mean, on the benchmark, most of us are doing it. So those are like 720, I want to say like 480. It's like it's four renditions, and I think it's 720 to 240, and I don't know exactly which ones are in between. But when you're going to start doing a 1080 and a 4K and things like that, that's those are, I mean, a 1080p stream is 4 times the data that we've been like sorry that we've been using for benchmarks.
For
Yeah, so you're just going to get fewer streams. They're going to be higher value, and you'll end up actually getting paid more for that, because you don't have to decode as many streams. But yeah, if they're coming from 4K, then you do have a lot of decoding stuff. But the point is, they're different than what we've been using for the benchmark, and I would expect to be able to get less streams per card than we've been used to.
It also sounds like they're putting a lot more heavy workload into the network. And again, whether it's video on demand or if they're just allowing heavier streams to come through, the cards and the optimizations we've made are going to be invalid, right? We will not as a collective keep up with this heavyweight stream processing when we're all optimized the opposite way, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, as far as optimization goes, there's not really much that we're doing for optimizing. It's more of just what your
Well, the
expectations
number
are
of
going in.
cards, how much memory you have, the chipset you're using, all that matters because of the profile of the streams we're processing. But if they're 480p or if they're 4K streams and there's going to be less of them but heavier, you're going to need a lot more RAM and a lot more, you know, the as you said, the decoding is going to be significantly higher. So like that's a totally different workload for the hardware we currently have.
Yeah. From a hardware perspective, yes, for sure. I thought you were talking about like optimizing settings for the cards.
Nah, I mean, at this point, you got to go back to hardware first. You got to get the right hardware for this kind of a workload, and then you can optimize. But I think it's a very different profile if we see this become more mainstream.
I mean,
yeah, you'll need more power to transcode this kind of stuff. Yeah, more power. I think mostly GPU personally.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I think on the days of a one card, you know, a RTX or a GTX 1070 or 1080 is going to be gone.
The GTX 1080 is going to be gone?
If this is the kind of workload we're going to be doing, that card's not going to be enough for that.
He said a single one, you know, a
Yeah,
single.
He's saying like the days of just having a single card and managing, you know, the average workflow with that.
Jeez, you're getting me excited.
Hey, I hope so. You know, that would be great.
That's
I've got
right.
plenty of hardware
I
sitting on
agree.
the sides. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's another barrier to entry.
Okay, great. Well, I like it. VOD is great. We're seeing so, but as for us setting max sessions and all these kind of things, would it make sense to send like a max VOD metric and then have a separate max stream metric or something where, you know, or should that be optimized by the broadcaster? Like, hey, like,
yeah, I was thinking the opposite way. You'd eliminate the flags. They almost seem useless right now, the way it is current workload coming in, right? Like those flags won't even matter because the profiles and the work requested are going to matter far more than some static number.
Right. It's got to be almost like workload based, not just arbitrarily streaming. Yeah, well, this is a conversation that Papa Bear had back a while ago. He was like, I won't speak for you, Papa Bear, but it was basically along the lines of like counting, maxing out your orchestrator count by sessions doesn't make much sense, because if someone's sending a 480p, well, you could take like 30 of those, but if they're sending in like 4K streams, you can only handle 4 of those, and it's like they're not equal, and yet we only just display how many streams we can handle, which is arbitrary kind of in itself.
That's right.
So
yep.
If we figured out that problem, then it would probably fix the problem of VOD clashing with streams to begin with.
Well, it does sound like Livepeer's working on. Oh, go ahead.
Could it maybe make sense to set the limit by pixels per second? Something like that?
I mean,
yeah,
I've
it's got to be a
that.
throughput-based metrics, but it's got to be. I don't know if that alone is enough. Go ahead, Papa.
It needs to account for both the what's coming in, so for the decoder and for the encoder. So it would need to almost be 2 different variables. I don't know if something that I know. I mean, I'm pretty sure Livepeer is working on some kind of thing that takes a look at the hardware you have. I don't know if it's looking at the load that's on the hardware, or if they're gonna implement something along those lines. But I mean, ideally, it would be great for the broadcaster to know how busy is a or an orchestrator, and not based on the an arbitrarily set max sessions value, but on an actual workload. Like how hard is that encoder? Like what's the encoder at running at? What's the how much RAM do you have left? Things like that.
Yeah, capabilities under load, like being able to assess that real time.
Yeah, exactly. Because for us to be able to set something and not know what's coming in, it's really just a guess on our part.
Hey, who's gonna be? I want more streams. I'm not gonna set it lower. I want more. I ain't gonna. Hey, I want to bump that number up and see if I can tweak it a little bit, overclock it.
Right, and I mean, in theory, that should still work because if it sends a stream to you and you're not doing it fast enough, it should just move down to the next person. So I still
Yeah.
think you're pretty safe with that, but it doesn't seem like the most elegant solution.
And for your information, I put a link in the water cooler chat. It's Yondon. He explained why the VOD create a lot of tickets and nonce error because all the segment can be downloaded at the same time for the VOD. So it's the same for the tickets. And so the tickets arrive to the orchestrator with not in the good order. So it's why we have a lot of tickets and nonce error actually. He wrote that a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I was reading it,
on
trying to read
GitHub.
it as I was talking, and yeah.
So it's better to read that I explained for sure. Sorry.
I'm glad to see that VOD is being focused on right now.
Yeah.
It's very exciting because that's like a new source of traffic for us, which is being unlocked as we speak. So that's like very exciting and gives us a new challenge on how to optimize our nodes, which is also really interesting.
Yeah, and it also seems like it could make, I mean, depending on the load or how much VOD work comes in, it could, maybe have a setting where it's a lower priority. So, live stuff gets prioritized, and then VOD stuff can get done when we don't have live stream transcode. Just might be another way to balance out the load, because most VOD stuff doesn't need to be transcoded immediately. But if it's something that does, then maybe that's something that I could charge more for.
Yeah, talking about setting priorities, I was thinking about, is there a function that you can set priorities for GPUs? Because some of us are running like 2 GPUs on one node. I'm just wondering, can we prioritize them? Which GPU gets used most, on which one is just basically a backup?
I think that Brad B8, what is it, B79 has a build that allows you to do that, but it's not there. Nothing in the official release. It's actually something I requested a while back, but
I know that. Yeah, I know that he has that functionality in it, but you need to split a R&D process, and I just want to keep one process, if you know what I mean. I don't want to split the process and run out MD separately.
No, I'd prefer it that way too. Maybe I should dig up my old request and bump it, or at least take a look and see if anything's even, if it was closed, or I don't know. I haven't looked at it in a while.
Yeah, just
try and find it.
Would be a nice function to have, because one of my nodes has 2 GPUs, and one can transcode way faster than another one.
Yeah, no, I ran into the same thing where I had 1070s that I wanted stuff to go to first, and then move over to like the 20 series cards that are slower. So yeah, I understand exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it just would be a nice function to have, and decent backup as well.
To move on a little bit, I'd like to talk a little bit, Mike Z, you had a little topic about RPC stability. Can you tell us a little about what you're experiencing?
Yeah, so as you guys know, August 31st, they launched Arbitrum Nitro. And I think everybody who was running their own nodes kind of migrated. Things were great. We all hoot and hollered that it was awesome. Well, I had a node that ran out of disk space because of the Nitro upgrade. So again, I sized it for what I thought that it would be. And then it looks like, it almost doubled in size since the Nitro upgrade. And I just didn't know if folks were planning for that or looking at it. But what I also found was when we upgraded with Nitro, you'd bring the node back online, and then within minutes it was up and running and it was great. But now, having been several months later, if you lose a database or a node and you try to bring it back up, the Arbitrum node starts at the beginning again, and it goes for days like it used to. You know how we'd spin up a node and then we'd be waiting for days for it to sync up, and I saw that again this weekend. So I just want to, caution folks who are running their own nodes. First off, I know a few of us do that. Just make sure you have good backups. Don't ever lose that node, and watch your growth, because I think the volumes they're growing a lot faster than I was used to or anticipating. So I'll just stop there and see if anyone else has any questions or comments. But I think that's my general takeaway.
Yeah, I don't know.
I see FTK is not here. I know he runs one. I know, Frank, you were running one. I know, Vires, you were running one. So are you guys seeing that growth on the file system, or you guys have plenty of disk? It didn't matter anyway.
How much disk did you have, and how much do you run out with?
I started out with like 400 gigs because originally we had I had a 2-3 terabyte disk drive with NVMe's. It was like way oversized for what Nitro did. So I felt like downsizing my infrastructure mattered, because I didn't need all of that anymore. So I started downsizing, and I didn't want to go too small, but I didn't want to go too big. And I found that I went too small when I downgraded. I think 400 gigs is not big enough. But you think of put in a perspective. September 1st, the database was 100 gigs, 120 gigs. And today it's 350 gigs, almost 400 gigs. So like in a couple months, you tripled the size. Like that wasn't anticipated. So again, maybe doesn't matter if you got 2 terabytes and you're fine. Because if I would have had my original system, I wouldn't have had this issue. But since I call myself leaning down because Nitro solved some problems, I ended up biting me in the tail. So I put more disk in there, and I doubled it from 400 to 800 this iteration. So I'll continue to watch it. But I suspect if it triples from 400 to 800 in another 3 months, then we got a big problem with Nitro.
Does Nitro have like a pruning process where it won't continue to grow if it keeps pruning, or are you downloading all of the blocks and keeping them?
What I think happens is it's just blocks get generated every day, more and more, hundreds of thousands. If you look at an Arbis scan, you'll see every day hundreds of thousands of blocks getting generated every single day, and it doesn't stop. And I think if you just look at the profile over a window of time, it just gets bigger, 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 bigger. It's never going to get smaller. Now, there is a compaction process. I didn't really understand the documentation on how to implement it and make it work properly. And I know by default, when it runs, the node itself is running and it's doing some compaction process in the background. So can I shrink it more? Maybe. I just didn't know if other folks are seeing this kind of growth that I've seen, and if it's an alarm for them, or maybe it's just, business as usual.
Yeah, I haven't checked really, since
I didn't
I'm
either.
running I'm running my nodes on I have 3 terabytes, so I'm running like 2 nodes, each of them on a 3 terabyte server. So I haven't checked, but I guess I'll look into this, because if it grows faster with time, then even like 3 terabytes could mean that I need to. I don't know if pruning is supported. I'll also have to look into that. But yeah, I mean,
just keep it in the back of your mind. I know you run some, and I think if it's tripled the growth with one node, and you got 2 running on that 3 terabyte, you're gonna run out in 6 months or 8 months then.
Yeah, no, they're like on separate servers, so each has 3 terabytes.
Okay, I see.
So just in case like one fails the upgrade process, I can still run off the backup node. Since it might take a few hours, so I rather have a backup there.
I'm the same way. I have 3 nodes in the same format where I kind of rotate them out in the event I need to do maintenance, but all 3 of them had disk issues this weekend, which was a disaster, but that's a different topic.
Yeah, I run
All right, cool.
I run an Ethereum node, but obviously not an Arbitrum node. I don't know how different they are.
They're very different. I think they're totally different in terms of their day-to-day operations and maintenance. But I mean, Ethereum grows. The growth of Ethereum is a lot more than Arbitrum. I just think Arbitrum's throughput is faster, so Arbitrum will grow faster. It just happens to be Ethereum's already way bigger.
Right. There you go. Well, hopefully Arbitrum will stay stable as a layer 2, because I know that a lot of people are really excited about ZK rollups come like in the future. People really want those.
And they're doing that on Arbitrum?
No. It's essentially competing against Arbitrum, right? Is ZK rollups.
Yeah, it's like optimism, right?
Yeah. No, that's still, I think, an optimistic rollup. So
is there a chain that's doing ZK now?
Yeah, they call it ZK Snarks, or like
Snarks.
What
That's Starknet?
Yeah.
Speedy, I know this is up your alley. Is this something? Do you remember where the ZK stuff is? ZK rollups are happening with chain?
Because I don't think they're. The thing is, they're better than our optimistic rollups, but they're like not really complete yet, and like still testing on like making sure it works and everything.
Oh.
And you have to have like a PhD in math to even understand like what the hell's going on. So like that was one of the So a quick story. Side note: I was at the hackathon for ETH Global, and like everyone wanted to build on ZK technology, right? It was like, oh, this big thing, and there's like on the end of the first day, there's like this make it, if you don't have a team already, come join this like matchmaking process, right? And like it was so funny because there were just like so many people like, yeah, I have this idea for this great app. I just need like someone with a PhD and zero knowledge proofs to like build this like smart contract for me. And it was like everyone's sitting around like, okay. Like next guy comes up like, oh, I got this great idea. I just need like someone who knows zero knowledge proof. Like, it's like, okay. And like,
is there a PhD in the house?
Yeah. And I'm like,
quick.
I'm like, you guys know that like the people smart enough to build this stuff, like probably came with pre-made teams, because they're probably smart enough not to come for just looking for matchmaking people. Like, and I was like, it was just kind of funny. I was like, man, like, there's a huge demand for Solidity developers and like the ZK stuff, and like the project that won the most money was Zero Knowledge Poker.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, Zero Knowledge on-chain poker. So the idea was you could play poker on-chain against someone, and nobody would know what the next card would come up, but it would be fair for everyone.
Wow.
And so you could play the game without anyone being able to statistically game it, all on-chain, right? So they ended up winning the most money. It was quite impressive. It was called Zero Knowledge Hold'em, basically. And
that's great.
Yeah, so like it was like really impressive seeing that stuff. Like it was like, holy cow. And there's some smart motherfuckers here. Like I was like, oh boy. Like I was like on my team. I was like, I'm gonna let you guys code. I'll just make like the marketing material. Yeah. So.
Hey, sorry, my machine bugged out. Mike, when you were asking me about ZK, I mean, it's a specification really. Someone has to implement it, and it has to be implemented.
Wasn't it implemented though?
Polygon implemented. They have a ZK EVM you can use to do rollups through using the ZK proofs and all that stuff. But I'm not an expert. But yeah, I mean there are some implementations out there. It's not to be confused with what an L2 is. It's different than an L2. It's part of rollups for L2s, but it's a different means of doing it.
I think the the big push though, right, is to be able to say these are computationally difficult, and you really want a way to say, I just want the computation enough to prove that it was accurate, but I don't actually want to do the actual computation. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, I think the idea that, as I understand it, is more about being able to prove that something happened through cryptographic means, basically mathematical means, and not having to divulge all the source data. And therefore, proofs can be made to say, okay, you trust that something happened, whether it's real life or on chain, whatever, based on that proof without having to actually see somebody's work.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so Arbitrum is an optimistic rollup, and Starknet is a zero knowledge rollup. So it is a different type of layer 2.
They were. I was reading that they were talking about doing ZK rollups on Bitcoin, like applying that kind of concept to the Bitcoin layer 1. So that's far away, but I think it's, they're starting to talk about this ZK concept.
Yeah. Like, it's the only reason Livepeer didn't switch to like a ZK rollup is because there really was no support for any ZK rollups. It's not really decentralized, or when the problem we were facing came up, it was like, but I know that if ZK rollups basically become better than optimistic rollups, then, or become more popular or well supported or whatever, then like Livepeer will switch over to that rollup instead. That's what's been mentioned, but right now only like DYDX and Immutable X use ZK or Starknet. But it was I don't know where I was going with this. Whose topic was we were talking about?
We went off of the Arbitrum Nitro migration and monitoring maintenance, and we just touched on this, and we kind of went down a little bit of a rabbit hole. So I think it's great conversation, but not probably out of scope for what we've been started talking about. But we finished my topic, which was the Arbitrum monitoring, maintenance, outages, stability. So I think we're good there if you want to pivot to your next topic.
Sure.
I would just add, Mike, like even if ZK got implemented and everyone used them, what it's going to do is just make the amount of data on chain, I think it's going to shrink it in terms of what you necessarily need to put in L1. May be still stored in L2, so it may not impact size. It depends how you end up using it. But ultimately, if it does reduce the size, it just increases throughput and scalability of the chain. And that's not necessarily going to reduce the amount of space you're going to need to run an L2 node. And in fact, if there's more throughput, more scalability, it could lead to more transactions and actually larger.
Increase the footprint. That's right. I expect
it should make block space a little bit tighter. So maybe that helps with the economics of it, because you don't need as much block space to store your transaction.
And that means good things for throughput. That's pretty much it, though.
Yeah, and it also means security too, because you are able to provide a proof, the ZK proof, that what hashes and things you're putting into the block are valid, and you don't need to show all the data that's leading to that hash that's generated, because some of it's off chain in the end. And the ZK proof allows you to prove that off-chain data is actually real.
Well, I think that matters for Livepeer, right? When we talk about validating the stream and the quality that it actually occurred, like that's not on chain today. And I think that's where ZK might be very useful from a Livepeer context. You got to prove that the stream was transcoded, right? And that's a lot of data you won't have.
Yeah, I mean, you're relying on the gamification that's built into the Livepeer protocol right now to work that out, right? To make sure that it was done and you get paid for it.
Well, there's no proving anything. It's a wink and a nod, right?
Well, the ticket model definitely does some level of proving, right? And the fact that you have some of the secret and the hash being done so that it can't be gamed, that the O ends up having to pay you, because if they could figure out your secret and things like that before they sign the ticket, they could just say, pump in some fake data, and then the O's never going to get a winning ticket.
Oh, yeesh. Well, I don't think any of that's happened yet, and let's hope that it never happens.
Yeah, I mean, the protocol doesn't allow it unless you find a way around it, in the defect in the protocol.
Cool.
Just as a quick side note, you said ZK on Bitcoin. It was interesting. I went to a Bitcoin conference where there was also a hackathon. So I went back-to-back hackathons. I went from a hackathon from ETH Global to a Bitcoin hackathon, and like, yeah, it was very interesting. It was like no one's like building anything on top of Bitcoin, it seems. Not that you really can, but like, yeah, it was
Web 5.
What's that?
Web 5.
Yeah.
Web 5.
Yeah.
Yo.
We're working on Web 5 already over there, apparently. But then
That's what Jack Dorsey's company's doing, Web 5.
Yeah, he's doing Web 5. He skipped Web 4. Fuck Web 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Web 3 is not like hardly even existent. Web 4 is like, but don't worry, we're working on Web 4. I'm going to work on Web 6 next. But yeah, and then it was interesting because Bitcoin, it seems, hit this like weird wall where it was like nobody's like building around it. Like it seemed like it was just like Bitcoin seems to just do its one thing, do it really well, and no one can dispute it. Like it's like, but then it's like they talked about how great Lightning is, and I'm like, wait a minute, does anyone actually use Lightning? Is anyone building on Lightning? It's like trying to find this answer.
Go online and do a search for Lightning Network and disaster UX, and you'll find all you need to know about how to help people deal with this. Liquidity problems. You got to have, like, in order to transfer money from me to you, I got to have liquidity on my node in order for it to go through. No one's using that junk. Niche examples, I'm sure, but I don't know a single person building on Bitcoin. I very rarely hear anyone talking about it.
Yeah, it was really cringe actually when they talked, because I was like, I literally just came from like ETH Global, which is like was like the largest ETH hackathon. It was like 1,700 people, like super bright minds, all building apps within 24 hours, like just like such interesting stuff. And then I went to like this like Bitcoin hackathon. It was like 12 people, and it was just like a centralized company being like, use my RPC node. And I was like, what? It was like really weird. I was like, okay. And then it was just a Bitcoin conference where everyone screamed about buying and holding. And I was like, huh, this is a very different crowd of people. And like, I'm like a original Bitcoiner. Like I got into Bitcoin in 2013, but like the crowd has just changed so much. I just thought it was really interesting. But yeah, the ETH Global event was just really eye-opening. I was like mega impressed with the talent there, and just the amount of like we're like the So another one of my topics we'll move on to. So I got two things: ticket consistency, and the bear market. So first, I just want to quickly talk about the ticket consistency. Are people happy with the amount of tickets they're getting now? How regularly or frequent they are? Do we want them more often, less often? This has been a pain point on layer 1. So where are we at now?
Gas prices at the floor, basically. Frequency is not a concern anymore. I think I'd like to see the amount go up, but who's going to argue that one?
Like
I think the part that I'm still confused about is the role that stake plays in this. Like, I still feel like it's a nebulous concept. Like, I know that stake matters, but it doesn't seem to matter as much recently, especially with this VOD stuff. But again, I think that's just an enigma that's outside of the norm. remember though, it used to be, and again, when I started, if you didn't have stake and you weren't new, you weren't getting work, right? You just weren't seeing the tickets, and every once in a while you'd see a ticket. But now, obviously, that's different. You don't need to have a ton of stake, and you can still get streams. You see guys like Transcoding ETH got 8,000K stake, and he's top of the charts every month. Like, that kind of stuff seems to be different now than it was back in February, or at least on L1.
There you go. So I think in general, I've noticed just the more consistencies of tickets. Like I get a ticket like maybe every day or every other day, and it seems nice flow of income. It seems somewhat reliable and predictable, which I think is good. I think overall, has that problem been solved for the most part?
Pointed out that you were looking at your dashboard, right? And you saw your expected payouts usually were right on the money. Is that still true?
Expected payout. Yeah, I think it's.
Papa Bear was tracking that pretty closely. I just didn't know. Is he still there?
Sorry, I didn't realize you were asking me. Yeah, I mean, it seems to be, fairly accurate. Yeah. I don't track it like, I don't write it down on a daily basis, but it seems to come out pretty accurate. Yeah, I mean, within a ticket or two in each direction, so it balances out.
Yeah, it seems to.
Sound solved.
Yeah, it seems like if we got like 10x traffic, like the amount of tickets we'd be getting and the amount of frequency of that, follow trending on that line would be pretty good. I think it'd be pretty. Well, I know that Vires gets so many tickets. I don't think he has his notifications on for Telegram, or he changed it so once you hit a certain threshold.
It's a roll up. Yeah, it's a roll up.
Yeah. He's like, I don't want these. Like, I still like getting all my little 0.012 notifications.
Every alert, I feel a little bit of warmness inside.
Man, it's like the heroin. That's just good, man. I'm just gonna keep coming. I need that hit. Come on, every day. I need to know a called reward. Amazing. Maybe not like heroin. I don't know who's in this chat. Maybe that's a bad example. All right. Cool. Okay. I'm glad that for the most part that's been a good fix in the past. I also want to talk a little bit about the bear market. I know we're not supposed to talk about price, but it's like pretty hard to get away from the fact that like the entire crypto industry has been seeing like complete decimation of like trust in certain institutions or certain companies and the whole bear market. And so I want to bring up that topic, not because I want to speculate on the price of Livepeer, but I want to talk about the morale of the community and about kind of what everyone has been seeing so far. So does anyone want to give some of their experience of what they've been seeing in the past couple months, if you will, in this bearish market?
Sorry, I missed. What were you asking, Titan?
Just what are the conversations you're hearing? What have you been seeing? Basically, I guess when it comes, I should clarify this into a much cleaner thought. Something around like, do we see the development or usage of Livepeer going down, or the amount of delegators we're seeing going down because of the bear market?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I have
do
not
know
seen
is
the amount of delegators going down.
Yeah, I was
If
gonna say,
anything,
I
I
don't
think they're
think
going up.
developers, no one's stopping talking about developing on Livepeer. Like, I see more people coming through the Discord than I have in a long time. So I wouldn't say the bear markets is suppressing entry, people coming in. I think people are still looking for a place, but especially now where, the value is getting sapped everywhere.
It's interesting you bring up that topic. It looks like Discord is quite healthy right now. looks like quite a few people are joining, asking good questions. We have some new orchestrators like SpeedyBird and some others, so that's been good.
Yeah.
Have we
I don't know
lost
about this.
have we lost anyone? Have we
I think folks go away for a little bit. I don't think anyone lost. Like Sundara came back recently, right? He was gone for like, I think Papa Bear said, I came in February, that guy disappeared, and then like now he's back again. So like I didn't really know him or speak to him at all. And apparently he was like real active. So like I think some folks maybe with this bear market just got a little bit of crypto fatigue.
I mean, I did notice we were at 99 orchestrators for a few days, which is, you know, somewhat unusual, but I saw it was back to 100 either yesterday or today. I don't remember when, but so someone dropped off, but I don't know who it was.
Yeah, but look at the stake number. What's the minimum now? 200 or something?
Yeah, I think it's around there. I think the last person actually got in for 168, which was lower than it's been in the past. But,
yeah, but 200, that's crazy, right?
But I'm confused though,
all
because
relative.
how can the stake threshold be 200, but then we only have 99 orchestrators? Like, because as long as there's
Well,
a
I think
threshold at all.
if you drop off and you don't reactivate, then you know, it leaves that gap. You don't automatically become active again.
Yeah, but if you're not active, are you still taking up a slot?
No.
So, like,
No, once you drop off, you drop off.
Yeah, but how is it possible that it even got to 99? Because
oh well, maybe someone just like closed up shop. They were like, okay, this isn't for me.
Yeah, but but as long as the threshold is 200, that means like the people just below 200 will pop into that slot.
I think you have to reactivate to pop into that slot. I don't
You actually have to
Yeah,
issue the activation. Yeah. Go ahead, Maz. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, you need to reactivate. And after you need to wait one round.
So the 101st person who's deactivated, once someone packs up shop and leaves and they get into that 100th spot, 99th spot or whatever, that means we have 99 orchestrators, and that's what brings down that metric.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
if no one reactivates or no new person comes in, yeah.
So, interesting.
My guess is if you've become inactive, a lot of people aren't checking on a daily basis to say, oh, I can reactivate and be good to go without putting any more LPT out.
And you need to wait the end of the round to reactivate.
That's right.
To be, not reactivate, but to be again up.
You reinitialize or reactivate, but you won't become active until that round, the new round starts.
All right, cool. Well, I like it. In more terms, so we can say that the amount of people developing, the amount of people joining Discord, the amount of healthy conversation, like we're definitely not ghosted out. Like I remember about a year and a half ago when I first joined in the summer when things were kind of quiet, like we'd go days without anyone saying a single word in any of the channels, right?
Jeez, I've never seen it like that.
Yeah, like when I first joined, it got kind of busy because I can't remember what happened. I think there was just some sort of event. Grayscale announced that Livepeer, they built the Livepeer Trust. That's what got me into this. Well, during that time, it was like pretty busy. Like everyone's commenting, and then it got to the point where it was like you'd go like 2-3 days without anyone saying anything in chat anywhere, right?
Wow.
Yeah, and I remember Vires was just such an OG. It was like amazing talking to him because it was like, dude, this guy's been around forever, like, and he's still in chat whenever anyone's got any questions. It was awesome. But yeah, it's definitely not like that. It doesn't seem like it's going to be like that again anytime soon. So that's good. I'm glad that the price of the market is not affecting the the chat being happening, as well as like the communication around the technology itself. So that's cool.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that there's tends to be more people developing on Livepeer recently, which is keeping the chat moving. But as far as orchestrators go, it seems actually fairly quiet. But I think that's a sign of just things are running well and there's not any issues. And generally, when you see a lot of, or I don't know if it's generally, but a lot of times when you see stuff heating up in the orchestrator like supporting areas, it's new people joining. So
or something blowing up.
Yeah, or something blowing up for sure.
The video on demand made that this week or the last couple of weeks real active in the work support, and I think the 5.35 release also added some additional activity to that. But aside from those two topics, I don't think anyone in the org optimizer node has been asking any questions.
No, I agree. I in general, I just feel like the org part of the Discord has gotten quieter than I remember it in quite a while. But I take that as a good sign, just that things are working for the most part. I mean, obviously the issues come up, but
education, the material, the documentation, all the work that we've done as groups with these grants and publishing topics, like I think there's a plethora of info for new orgs to get started. I mean, Speedy, he went from one day wanting to do an org, and then a week later he's up and running. He's got all this stuff going. You know what I mean? Like monitoring, he's got exporting, and just because the knowledge is there, it's out there. So we did our job.
I like it. Are orchestrators feeling the pinch by having to sell off LPT in order to pay infrastructure costs, or are orchestrators fine with how things are going?
I'm not selling any LPT. I can tell you that right now. It's $7, just under $6. I'm not trying to sell anything yet. I'd like to hold on for a rebound at some point. What were you saying, Papa?
Oh, I was gonna say, I mean, I think that, obviously we'd all like to see the price, higher, but I mean, so, I mean, the ones of us that are running, orgs and data centers have seen a, slight price increase from, a lot of the hosting providers, but I still think it's all pretty reasonable costs for the returns we're getting.
That's a good point, Papa Bear. Like, Hetzner, I think a couple of them have announced, in January, there's going to be some rate hikes based on the energy crisis in the EU. So I suspect that folks running in data centers, Hetzner's and those likes might see some pinch getting a little tighter for them in terms of their profitability.
Yeah, I don't think it's too bad. There was one hosting provider that I was using in the Netherlands, which it was like I think they wanted to raise it like 50% or something like that, and I was like, I don't really need this node here.
Wow.
So, yeah, and it was already fairly expensive. So, but other than that, I mean, I think I've seen increases on every hosting provider I'm using, but they're all I mean, reasonable in my opinion. Nothing that's going to make me shut down a node.
And are we all happy still receiving ETH for our transcoding work?
Out of all the stuff I'm receiving, it's the ETH that makes me excited because I really am holding with a long-term play on ETH. So I feel like the more ETH I collect with this, bear market, the better I feel.
Well, damn, isn't that motivating? I appreciate that point of view. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, I think us getting paid in ETH is actually one of the best things that Livepeer ever did. I think there's a very unique thing that most token projects haven't done, where they use their token as the currency of their own network.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that Livepeer charges in ETH says a lot about the direction of what I think it does a lot of it does a couple things, but I think what it most importantly does is it actually makes people respect the project more in a way. Like, I know that if I'm getting paid in ETH, that's like that's the native currency of the network, and so that's the hardest thing this network could probably produce. So it's good. I don't know. I've always been impressed by that feature, so I like it.
Yeah, and on
Yeah, I agree.
L2, it's really not hard to like even automate the claiming. If you don't like the ETH that you're getting, you can automate it like to automatically swap into a stable coin or whatever you want. But I also
Yeah.
like the fact that it pays out in ETH because it's like the most, I'd say, like neutral currency. Because if you like choose a stable coin that's pegged to the US dollar, you automatically have like the US dollar as a currency. And then the question is, which stable coin do you want? Do you want DAI? Do you want USDC? Do you want USDT? And with ETH, you have the option to swap into any of those, right? And it's just the base currency of the network, as Titan said.
Yep. I love it.
Very good. Well, I like it too. Okay. Anyway, that's enough of talk about the bear.
You know what? Actually, I do have a question about, or a comment on ETH or question. Does anyone know, are there any US exchanges that accept ETH on Arbitrum directly? Does anyone know of any?
Binance.us?
I haven't like actually checked them, but I know Binance does. I just didn't know if the US one does.
Well, I can tell
No
you
one
one
actually has
thing.
any first
I'm
hand.
not putting any of my money in these custodial exchanges. You can bet your dollar on that.
Oh, it wouldn't be to hold it. It was if you wanted to exchange out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
Crypto.com does.
What did you say?
Crypto?
Crypto.com?
Crypto.com, yeah.
Are they still around?
No, they're around.
Well, they are, but they're no longer the label brand owners of the formerly Staples Centers, I believe. I think they also had their logo removed, didn't they?
Any
Did they
crypto
really?
exchange got removed. The Miami Heat arena was FTX arena. That's gone.
Well, I understand
you
that
know,
one.
Yeah, I know that one was obvious, but I think there's a couple others that had it too. I didn't know they actually removed crypto from Staples, but that's
Oh,
crazy.
no, never mind. Wikipedia still says it there, so it is still
Yeah,
crypto.com.
Crypto.com seems solid,
Oh.
but I don't know. Like,
I thought they had exposure to FTX and had issues, but maybe
The contagion has not
someone
been
else, yeah.
documented clearly yet, but it's definitely there was some exposure there.
Contagion.
And on a side note, I did actually try one of the third-party bridges just to transfer ETH to L1, and I used the across bridge. It's one of like the ones that pops up as a suggested one from when you go to the official Arbitrum bridge, and it was like like a normal just transfer. It was like less than a minute. And if anyone just is looking to move ETH just to L1 for whatever reason, I had a good experience with them, and it wasn't very expensive. I think it was like 0.002 ETH or something like that for the transfer.
Didn't you say it was instant too, that you didn't have to wait?
That's what I'm saying. It was like less than a minute, and it was already
Yeah.
made it to, right over to the wallet on L1.
But the normal Arbitrum bridge takes 7 days, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So if you want to wait 2 minutes or 7 days and you pay 0.012 ETH, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it was like 0.002, I think. So it may
Oh,
also
0.00. Okay.
Yeah, it was like $2 when it converted at the time, but it just throwing that out there for anyone that wanted to move something quickly. This was I had done it actually when a lot of that FTX stuff was going on, and I was like, do I want to have anything sitting on a bridge right now, or do I want it quickly just in my hardware wallet on L1, safe and secure? So that was my that was why I did it, and it worked out well. And I did do it in a couple of smaller transactions just because I was like, I don't know if I completely trust this thing, but it did. Everything made it over like super quick. So
Thanks for being a test dummy, Papa Bear. We appreciate it.
I've done
No problem.
I've done that transfer with dBridge and with a really good experience too. But I think Across and dBridge use the same liquidity underpinnings. I think they're just different UIs.
Then you know more about it than I do.
Yeah, I think because a lot of them just use like I think like Uniswap, 0x, and Curve. I think as like their baseline liquidity providers, and then they just like provide a interface to do it. So Across is good, I think. And yeah, it's getting really interesting with all this cross-layer, cross-bridging stuff. It makes this super easy. Okay, so we've talked about choppy traffic, VOD. We've talked about RPC stabilities, downgrading to 3.34. Talked about some traffic management varies. Kind of mentioned that a little bit. We've talked about ticket consistencies in bear market. A little bit about performance. Yeah. Any other topics we want to cover while we're here?
No, but I can say that my am I still? Oh yeah, sorry. My streams definitely look more stable over like the last hour or two, I guess. Since I guess maybe whatever testing was going on is
Are you
over.
at your normal threshold?
I
Your
am, but
normal
the
threshold
values
for
are a
streams?
lot lower
Oh,
than they were. Like if I had this many sessions with with the VOD stuff going on, it'd probably be, my projected would probably be about 3 times what it is now, or 2.5 times.
yeah, I'm looking at my stats. It's similar too. The last hour or two, it looks like I'm back to where I was, 2 weeks ago, normal standards. No tickets though, that's for sure. That sounds right.
Yeah, exactly. Just back to good old the way it used to be.
All right. Well, the last thing I'd like to end on is if you are interested in joining my team for the Encode hackathon, it's already started for like the last week and a half. It's a 4-week hackathon where you can. Are you guys familiar with this hackathon that's going on?
Not the one you just mentioned.
I
Okay.
know what's going on, but I don't know any details.
So, let me introduce you to.
And while you're introducing us, are you building on the same thing you built on the last one? Or are you coming out with a new concept for this one?
Well, that's a good question because you're not supposed to come into any hackathon with any previous work done. You're supposed to start from scratch. However, obviously, we came up with a bit of a concept at our last one that got us 3rd place. So I'm sure if we kept building on it, we could probably get better. But I don't know. I'm kind of just like, I have the entire idea fleshed out. It's basically decentralized Twitch, and it has all the protocols and a diagram of how it all work. So I'd look for someone to team up with me. We'd build it and build out like a little bit of an example and all these kind of things. I got one of the engineers from the last group I was with is interested in helping me with it. So I'm just looking for other teammates. Although if he's not interested or if I can't find enough people, I'll probably try and find other people to try and join and then just like be a marketer or something. But I don't know if anyone is interested in doing a hackathon. This one has a decent amount in prizes. I mean, I don't know if we'll win anything because it's like, but it's kind of weird because it's like it's a 4-week hackathon. Like it's a really long hackathon. But I mean, even just to mess around and build something on it and submit it might be fun. Even though it maybe like it's only 1 day's work and it's just fun to submit something. So I don't know.
Well, I could tell you this. I want to do a hackathon for sure. I want to play around with something like that. But with the holidays coming up in November and December, I don't know if I'll have any time in the next 2 months. But I definitely, as New Year rolls around, I'll be looking to jump onto something like that.
Okay, cool. Well, this one is for another 2 weeks, I think. So it ends first week of December, I think. But for later ones, I mean, yeah, you should definitely. Man, that was my first hackathon. I had such a great experience. Like, I'd definitely go to another one.
My job used to offer like these coding hackathon type things, and I did a couple of those. They're cool. They're fun. I think it's an adrenaline rush for sure. It's something you do something very quickly. So it's cool. It's taxing, but if you actually have a good concept, that you could win. I like the idea of that.
Yeah, well, I've got the concept down. So, well, maybe what I'll do is like, if the engineer and I work on it, maybe we'll just like live stream it through like something, and then people can just like come along and join in and help out and listen or something like that. Maybe I'll just like live stream.
Don't let anyone steal your secret sauce. Don't let them steal your idea. I mean,
oh, dude, my idea is not that like
original.
It's like the live streaming app. Okay, like I've
too.
Man, I've gotten over the point where like somebody's like, oh, I have this business idea, but it's a secret, and I'm like, have you ever run a successful company? Because like only people like man, you know how hard it is to make a successful company. Like, sharing your idea is not what's gonna kill you. Like, it's mostly yourself or execution or something. So I've gotten to the point where like, man, ideas are pretty much shit. Anyone who can execute on it is gonna be like, so you might as well just share the idea. Share all your ideas. Share it with people. Get some feedback. Yeah, like
that's right.
You can be scared if all your ideas is a feature, you know, and then some giant companies come in and implement it in 2 weeks. But yeah, generally, I'd say 100%. That's definitely the case. Plus, I don't know, could be just me, but every time I thought of a good idea, you Google it, you'll find 5 people already doing it easily.
Yeah.
Right.
There are 8 billion people on this planet. It's kind of hard to, at this point, come up with something.
Originality is very rare. Yes.
That's why we have AI, dude. It's out competing originality now too, because that's the next thing, right? Now you have to compete with every human being. You have to compete with the AI that's doing the same stuff.
Well, it's funny you say AI, because the poker thing that you talked about early, Titan, like all the people that are on FanDuel and DraftKings, they're getting their butts kicked by AI. So like AI is winning all the poker money. So like if there's a way to make it quote fair, as you said, I'd love to see that. I don't think fair will ever happen in poker ever again.
Yeah, it's tough because I don't know how those poker bots work, if they just are strictly statistics or they can somehow game the system to have an edge over a human.
Oh yeah, they got edges. They picked. I researched this for a couple of years ago, and it was like they have inside data as well. So like they're able to pick like bench players that don't ever play and determine they're going to get the playing time today, and they are successful. So you can't win as a human in those types of online gambling. So I'll be surprised if poker with ZK proofs make that any more fair.
Yeah,
I think and ZK proof probably makes the AI smarter.
Right. I think the idea was you were able to create a truly random number through a different protocol that uses it supplies an oracle with truly random numbers, and as long as you can get the oracle with truly random numbers, then all your ZK stuff can obfuscate.
Work.
Yeah, it can actually work then properly. The hardest part was getting the truly random number, and then beyond that, it was like, okay, now how do you make this so it's provably secure that it's a zero knowledge setup.
Right,
so
mathematics at that point.
Yeah. And I guess they figured out the part where you could do the zero knowledge proof stuff, but then you just have to come up with the truly random number, which apparently has been solved by a different protocol. So you just connect the two and away you go. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But where is this random number coming from, right? Who knows? So
that's right.
Yeah.
Math.random.
Math.random. Is that actually a thing?
Everywhere. Like we were pointing out in the broadcaster code for stream selection, it does stake weighting, latency weighting, and then at the very end it does math.random with whoever's left in the pool. And that's just a function that generates a random number.
Right, and that's a JavaScript pseudo-random number, right?
Well, yeah, there are cryptographically proven algorithms, but they're hardware based usually. But the software ones that were in Livepeer were not, they could be gamed. They are what they call non-deterministic. Or wait, no, they are deterministic, meaning you could, if you know the seed phrase, you can determine the next numbers.
That's right, yeah.
So anyway, good stuff.
There you go. Bada boom, bada bing. I love it. All right, everyone. We'll cut it off there. I appreciate you all being here for this week's Water Cooler Chat. It's been a great pleasure speaking with you all. And thank you so much for joining us during these bearish times and uncertainties in the macro crypto world. We are still here building, making our product and service better for this Web3 environment, which is very, very exciting. And try and do things and build things that are better for us in the future. So thank you so much for being here. We will see you all next week. Cheers.
Thanks, Titan, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everybody. See ya.